working on some films now, right?
Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much. And you also accepted the notice in a very short period of time, so it was pretty easy to convince you to come to our session.
Superb. I was speaking to Dipali, and that's how we got in.
Yep,
I
yep.
I hope was it the same participants? We don't know, right?
Yes, I think I mean, the participants do change a little bit, but you will at least have like 50-60% of people will be kind of similar ones who are like yeah are I would say loyal visitors, right?
Oh, awesome,
So
awesome.
okay, super. So we can get started. I'll go ahead with the intro and hey guys, yeah, welcome back to Friday Funda. Your host Dayan here from F1. I mean, after a long time, I think I don't know, like maybe 20 odd speakers. Finally, I figured out somebody who's into filmmaking, right? So that's something which is very, very close to me. If not into UX, definitely film or something which is very close to my heart. Yeah, so we have Krishan, who's an independent filmmaker. I'll just go ahead with a little bit of his intro, and he has a lot of achievements, so it'll be a little lengthier. So Krishan is an alumnus of IIT Bombay, where he did his master's from visual communication. And In 2016, his short film "Sinners at the Goddess Abode" was screened in the Cannes, short film festival, as well as the Noida International Film Festival and Science Film Festival, right? And he's the director of web series, Utsaha, Itiasam, right? It's called Saga of the Spirited, which also won the best comedy drama at the Seoul Web Fest. His short documentary Water Bodies was screened at the International Documentary and Short Film Festival at Kerala in 2019, as well as at Keflu International Film Festival and competition section as well, right? He was also awarded the best editor in Mumbai Short Film International Festival in 2013, and I think for the same film he also won the best cinematographer in the same year for the 48-hour film festival. His another film, which is called A Minor Inconvenience, won a state award for best BGM and was screened in the International Film Festival in Kerala as well in 2019. So I think he's covered kind of, I would say, from music to editing to cinematography to direction. Yeah, I think he's won so many awards. And apart from that, he's super passionate into teaching. So he's an adjunct faculty at IIT Bombay currently. Also, he runs a lot of workshops on filmmaking. For instance, like at Sacred Hearts College and NIFT and ISCA and Universal Institute of Design and so on, right? So we are super glad to have him. So he's going to help us understand like how film is in general, filmmaking is helpful for designers, and what are some of the process that goes into filmmaking, and how do you design this entire filmmaking itself, right? So let's hear from him without wasting much of your time. Over to you, Krishan.
Thank you, Dhyan. Dhyan, I want to ask a question. Is this an interactive session? Can people interact directly, or how?
Okay, so it's actually a webinar. So what we can do is, folks, please use the Q&A section to ask questions then and there. We don't need to keep the Q&A in the last. I think even the last time also it actually worked pretty well. So as you converse, right, we can also ask questions. So I'll try and moderate, but to all the folks attendees, please use question, the Q&A section to ask your questions.
Awesome, awesome. Um, so yeah, so hello people. My name is Kashant, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. And it's always we always feel proud as well as embarrassed when anyone gives an introduction. It's a mix of both. And Basically, I'm an independent filmmaker. So, what is an independent filmmaker? An independent filmmaker is basically a person who makes films like any other filmmaker, but without the support of a production studio. So I can't completely claim that I am an independent filmmaker because some of my projects were supported by production studios and production houses, and also by universities and colleges. So yeah, so that's what an independent filmmaker basically do. Another part of it the struggle where the independent filmmaker survives is on, we have a, we don't, there's not a proper distribution cycle in India for independent films as of now. Of course, there are websites like Sunipreneur and Movie Sales and also Mubi, which takes independent films. But right now, I don't think a lot of the good independent films make it to Netflix or Prime, because the ecosystem of Prime and Netflix has changed very recently in 2020. After COVID, the mainstream content started getting released in Prime and Netflix, and somehow a lot of independent films do not make it. There are certain platforms in Malayalam, uh, the language that I mostly work in. So there are certain platforms like Kude in Malayalam. There is a Stream in Malayalam, Cave in Malayalam. Then there is Movie Saints, and it's a beautiful platform. If you have seen the movie Amis, it was released in Movie Saints. So this is what we do. So I'll directly start with some slides and presentations.
Yes.
Yes. Can share when someone else is sharing. Dhyan, I have
Yeah. So, if you just
advanced sharing options, only host all panelists who can share.
yeah, I think I've made you a co-host, so you should have.
Okay. But there's this pop-up coming in advanced sharing options.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Okay, I'll make you the host. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it is. Perfect. So let me give a brief introduction of my background. I was a software engineer initially, long back. In 2008, 2009, I was working for Infosys. And then there was a brief period of economic economic crisis, and Infosys was getting rid of all the excess weight. And I was one of those people who got sacked during that period. And then I came back from Mysore, my training facility in Mysore, to Trivandrum. That was the period when I went ahead and started a design company, a design firm. I would not say I started it. Actually, a friend started it, and I was part of it. But things were not working out great, and money was a big issue. And I joined a networking as a networking engineer in another firm called Ernst& Young, where I worked for almost 1.5 years. And while working with Ernst& Young, I started, you know, planning how to make films. And so I started approaching all these directors in Malayalam cinema and asking them can I assist them? I remember I went for a shoot and asked to be the assistant. So I became the assistant for 3 days. But then noticed that nobody cared about whether I was coming to the set or going, or I did not have any specified task except when somebody need to be called from the cab, or some weight need to be lifted. That's when they remember, oh, there was this guy. And that was the time when my back was also not in a great shape. I had my disc prolapse and everything. So then I started searching for a college which will give cinema studies, I mean film studies. So there was this option of FTI, SRFTI, and then there were private colleges, and then there was, at that time there was no KR Narayan Institute, but there was the Bombay. There were a few colleges, but when I checked the fee structure was baffling. I mean, I was at a period when I did not want to depend on my parents. I was in my early 20s, 23, 24, and I did not want to ask my parents further for money. And then I checked and found out that there is IIT Bombay, which has a course in visual communication. So you have to write the exam, crack the course, and then you get through. And in visual communication, basically IIT deals with typography, photography, I think user experience and a little bit of user experience. Then there was product design and animation. So I got into animation and visual communication, but then I realized that I am a little lazy and I can't draw all the in between frames for animation. And animation is a tedious process. And I did not know then that I had the perseverance for animation, which I figured out that I really have perseverance because independent cinema is also, it takes a toll on you. So this a whole webinar, I would not rather go into breaking down scenes or breaking down mise scene or breaking down the ideas. I would rather talk a little bit about my journey, and you can encroach into the conversation with your questions, and I would open my mind, say what I went through, or say the tricks that we use and everything. I guess that's fair. So yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So that's my profile. You can check me out on IMDb. So there was a time when we were young and we wanted our names to be in IMDb. Like if you are a filmmaker, you have to be in IMDb. And now when I look at my IMDb page, still it does not have a photo because I don't have a proper paid IMDb. But somehow things get updated. Sometimes it's updated when I send a film to a film festival. Sometimes I update it myself, or my associate director updates it for me. So there was a website called Without a Box earlier, where I could put my film, and Without a Box would help us find film festivals which match with our content. Now there is another website called Film Freeway. There are a few other websites, but Film Freeway is cheaper, and the UI is pretty good, and you can reach out to a lot of festivals. There are discounts too. So Without a Box, whenever you enter your name, enter your film in Without a Box, since Without a Box was owned by Amazon and IMDb is also owned by Amazon, your name appears everywhere. Okay, so a simple Google search and your name will be there as a filmmaker on IMDb or Without a Box on Film Freeway. So yeah, so this is basically a small profile. So that's me. That's me directing my first content. Uh, I this was 2004, 2003, I guess, and my friend had written a play for Teachers' Day, and basically, I think his whole intent was to cast a few people that he liked, and finally, those people did not turn up, and my friend also did not turn up that day. So I stepped into the shoes of the director, and I also had to act the protagonist. So the other people you see in the picture, some of us are still in touch. The short-haired one on the right is Rakhil. He is my executive producer in all my projects till now. He has contributed his effort, a little bit of his time, some of his money, and a lot of encouragement in all the projects. We have also shot together. We started a company in between, and I'll come to that later. So yeah, so this was my first in 2008. Oh, this is not 2008. This is 2004. In 2008, I did my BTech, got out of an engineering college with a degree in biotechnology and biochemical engineering. When I turn back to what I was doing, it is hilarious because I was basically learning to ferment and make alcohol and ferment and study the bacillus. That was because of my interest in biology, and my parents wanted me to be a doctor. Which there was a period in my life when I also believed that I can be a doctor too. But yeah, that did not work out. So I joined biotech and then became an engineer. So while in IDC, while in 2011, I wrote the IIT exam and got through in IDC. Dhyan is my super duper senior, super duper 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 senior, right? Yeah. And while in IDC, there is a course on video communication, and a very interesting course which teaches us some basic idea of how to make a film, how to edit a film. It's an 8-day course or a 10-day course. So during that course, one of my faculty, Professor Sudesh Balan, he got in Santosh Tundil, who is a cinematographer. And Santosh Tundil did cinematography for Pinjar, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Rowdy Radho, all those films. So he is a pretty celebrated filmmaker, cinematographer, and he came for a jury in that course. So he kind of liked the film that I made, and that was not my first short film. I had made a short film earlier, but that short film was a zombie short film. And why did I make a zombie short film? Because I thought that I can always go ahead and make a normal short film later. But this is a chance, and you are getting that audacity in college and the facility in college. You can do silly work only in college. But when you get out of college, you have to be more serious. So I thought I'd go ahead and make a zombie short film. I don't show the short film to anyone anymore. It's embarrassing, but somehow a small part of the short film connected to this filmmaker, and he invited me um, to write a screenplay for him. So I started writing the screenplay. It was about an internet ghost and everything. So that's the content that they wanted. And I started writing it, and in between, I could not concentrate much because my neighbor had passed away, and a lot of negative thoughts were getting into my head. Yeah. And so I told him that this was a period of our internship, and I wanted to go for my internship to a small company in Goa. And I spoke to Santosh sir, and Santosh sir said, "You can come to my set and be with the camera team. And while doing that, you can work on my screenplay." So that was a good opportunity. I went for the internship and became his camera assistant in a movie called Share. So that's Santosh Tundel and Sanjay Dutt. The movie was not a multi-starrer, but it was a Bollywood proper production. Um, Ashtivinayak Productions. The production does not function anymore. I'm not sure if they produce films. So Sanjay Dutt was there, and Nargis Fakhri was there. A lot of Anupam Kher, a lot of celebrated filmmakers, and I was right in the middle of them. And I was also handling, not handling, but touching once in a while the camera. And I also got exposed to cinema cameras and lensing. And cinema cameras are entirely different from what the kind of cameras that we were exposed to. It's So after joining IDC, we got exposed to the DSLR cameras, the small 1300Ds and the 550Ds and everything. But when I went for the film shoot, they suddenly Ariflex 435 and Ariflex 235 was used. It was shot on film, probably one of those last big budget Hindi films. The film never got out because of Sanjay Dutt crisis, and I think there's a post-production crisis too. But I was in an environment we were shooting on film, got to understand about exposure, about focal length, and about film stock. And so anyone who has doubts on what a film stock is or what exposure, those kind of questions you can throw in between this conversation, because uh, it's sometimes I can't speak for long. Yeah, so no. So I'll go further. So this is from the shoot, and we shot this. And after I came back from those shoots, I met this wonderful person who was working in the animation lab, photo studio lab, and his name is Renoy. He's there in the picture on the right corner. And one of my friend Abhinav, he left a camera. He was going to Rajasthan, and he left his not Rajasthan. He was going to UP home, and he left his camera with me. So we had a camera, but we did not know how to operate a camera first. We did not know what to shoot. So me and Renoy went ahead and shot something. So it was a story of two people, and the two people are fighting for for money and gold. So they had looted somewhere and got some gold, and they buried it. And now the two are coming together separately without each other's knowledge to take the gold and sell it. It was about greed and everything. So whenever Renoy used to act, I used to shoot. Whenever I used to act, Renoy used to shoot. And whenever both of us together were when there's a fight scene and all. So we used to switch on the camera, find the focal length, and then then act. And then we decided that in between, we decided that it is going to be a musical. We used the percussion instruments and everything. Renoy went ahead to edit it. Renoy is a brilliant editor, and he edited a 10-minute short film out of this. And we were very proud of that. We're still very proud of the content. But if you look closely, you understand that we did not even know how to expose a camera. So everything was shot on auto, which you don't do in filmmaking. You shoot everything in manual. The light is controlled. The amount of light falling into the camera is controlled manually. Everything is manual. We did not do that. We put the camera on autofocus, auto exposure, auto mode, and shot it. Now on the right is another film. So my faculty, Sudesh Balan sir's friend Rajesh Narot, he was making a short film in US. So he wanted me to. So Sudesh sir introduced me to this person and said maybe you want him to work on the screenplay. And I worked on the screenplay, and me and Rajesh we got along pretty good, and the film came out. And so you can see my name in the screenplays. The film went ahead into Cannes Short Film Festival, and it was also shot in Melbourne Short Film Festival. And I started, so this was a live project, and I started working on the screenplay and started digging deeper into how screenplays are written. Not just the softwares used to write screenplay, but what is the idea of theme, idea of storytelling, what hero's journey means, or what, how do you include thematics into the content. And this was also a period when, when in your early 25s, you should be exposed to a brilliant screenwriting book by Robert McKee, story writing book by Robert McKee called The Story. So I read the story, and I was super impressed by how easy it is to make a story. And a lot of things that Robert McKee says is very interesting. But later, now I figured out that, that does not work. That is formula writing and all. I'll come to that. But Robert McKee's story.
So yeah, I mean, a couple of questions, right? So
Yes.
so first one is like, so these are all post IDC, right? So
Yes.
yeah, so what's your officially, you can say, a professional first short film? Is it Flame, or is it the zombie one?
I
Zombie is
would
more of a student work, right?
I would say Flame is my first professional short film. I was a screenwriter in it. The zombie one and all, I don't show it anymore. It's hidden.
Okay, got it. Okay, so how did this filmmaking come into? Because so yeah, from software engineer, but yeah, you said you want to do something towards creative side, but then you chose visual communication. But again, it's not. Was it like during your time? Was there an exclusive course on video communication?
No. This came to me because this is so. I always used to sketch, and I was into graphic novels. Okay, like the whole Batman um, DC and Batman, the whole essence of it. And I started creating a lot of small graphic novels.
Got
Um,
it.
if I search around, I can still find my old graphic novels that I made. I used to draw everything, and there was a time when I figured out that this is also tough. Okay, like choosing the right camera angle and in graphic novels, right? And choosing the right point of view, and then using Photoshop and using one manga to give dialogues. So then this was a time when I started understanding that if you make the same image with a camera, then you can communicate further, and
Mm-hmm.
it's easier too. It's easier in the sense, so if I go wrong with an image, or go wrong with the storytelling, it does not. It's very tedious as a single graphic novel artist sitting in a room and making your own content. So suddenly, filmmaking was an easy exit out of the the whole graphic novel world.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
But later I figured out that I think in graphic novel there are very less dependencies. You are dependent on your artist, you are dependent on your publisher, and you are dependent on your inker and colorist, and the four people. And if you work properly, you can get your graphic novel. But in film, you are dependent on a lot of people, and especially as an independent filmmaker, and sometimes you don't find money. You are at the mercy of a lot of people. So I think I should have gone and made those graphic novels. But Yeah, that was the time. So also my friend got himself a handicap. So he got himself a handicap and he persuaded his father to get it for me because I always kept on telling that I wanted to make films. This was way back, 8th standard, 9th standard. And he got my handicap and we broke the handicap. We were shooting on a beach. We were shooting random stuff on a beach, not any content. We were shooting something like that you would see on an Instagram reel now, but that was on a tape, and then copy that onto Microsoft Movie Maker. Then we made a small audio video output, and we were showing it to a lot of people. But the camera fell down from my hand during a shoot, and then we had to repair the camera. It took me 2 years to repair the camera.
Mhm. So I mean, how long was this flame? I mean, in terms of time.
Flame was 14 minutes, 15 minutes,
Okay.
and Flame somehow was kind of personal because it was the content that Rajesh Narod gave me. It was a beautiful content. It was about two people breaking up, and before breaking up, they are having a conversation, and the conversation and having a conversation, and later they meet up, and when they later meet up and how they remember how they used to be and all. So when he gave me this idea and he had written a few notes, I took it and I juxtaposed everything, like how when they're speaking in a room and when she says that I know how you're going to be in future. So I started juxtaposing the future with the present, and Rajesh Chetan got a kick out of the idea, and he interpolated that idea into a very interesting scenario. The film is available on YouTube. You have to search Flame and Rajesh Narut, and
Sure.
yeah, it's there on YouTube. And um, now when I look at it, it's a little mellow. But when I was making it, when I saw Rajesh Chetan finally make that content and give us, I felt that the power of how writing and the power of the visual. I mean, when you write that she was feeling lonely like a like a leaf in the wind. But how do you convert that into a scene,
Mm-hmm.
into a shot, right? So the makeup adds to it, the art direction adds to it, the lighting adds to it. So this whole process worked out for me because I wrote this a part of a lot of areas in the screenplay. And Rajesh Chatterjee later came to me and said that what you've written is beautiful, and I understand that it's kind of it looks very personal, but he's shooting it in the US and he can't shoot it in Malayalam because I wrote it in Malayalam. And then I translated a bit and bits and pieces in English. And then he went ahead and created his whole thing. And yeah, so that's, I think Flame should be called my first content.
So how do you what is the process of applying in these film festivals, right? I mean, so this was kind of screened in the Cannes Film Festival for the short film category.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
what is the process? Um, the Cannes process, or I'll talk in general about the film festival processes.
Yes.
Right. So after we make a film, we understand that there are short film festivals and there are feature film festivals. There are A festivals, B festivals, C festivals. Then there are the A plus festivals, which are like the Busan, the Rotterdam, the Cannes, Sundance, and Cannes, Sundance, Venice, Berlinale. Those festivals, which are the A plus, the bigger festivals. And there are festivals that come right under it, which includes the Indian Panorama Festival, which includes the South African Festival, Melbourne Festival. So there are festivals, and these festivals have category. So usually, ideally, now when I look back, I should have made films for a category. So I did not know about this. So what I used to do is we have an idea, we find money, we make a content, and then we search for festivals with that category. So, and how do we search for those festivals? So there are websites like Without a Box, which is not there anymore. I'm sorry. Film Freeway. So Film Freeway is a wonderful website where you can register and it's free. Except the festival has a festival fee. that also, if your content is really good, you can write to the festival, get the email ID, and they might give a discount. So right before this presentation, I was writing to a festival, asking them to give me a discount because the festival fee is a lot of money. And so Film Freeway is one. The second one is that site is also not cinema. That site is also not. A lot of the sites that we went through are not there right now. I'll give a list of sites to Dhyan, the sites that I look up to. Third one is getting in touch with festival programmers. So these are people who are employed by the festivals to find content. So there is Deepthi Di Kunya, Uma Di Kunya, then there is Meenakshi Shade, all these people who work for certain festivals. So these people work for Cannes Festival. These people, so you have to get in touch with them. And how do you get in touch with them is their email IDs are public, and you write to them that I made this content and does it fit into your catalog, and they will pitch it to the film festival. But Cannes Short Film Corner, on the other hand, is a more simple way to get into Cannes. It's like so Cannes Short Film Corner every year takes about 1,000 to 1,500 films, and if they are of a basic quality and they have good sounding, and you apply at the right time, then the chances of you getting into Cannes Short Film Corner is easier. So I applied to Cannes Short Film Corner with my other film too and got it. But I also know people whose content has not been taken, so it's not that easy either. And you also try to understand and then there are college short film festivals. Okay, so like in Kerala, there is this ecosystem of college short film festivals. So yeah, so those are the ways in which you
Okay.
get.
And all of these are like free, or I mean, everything has an entry fee.
Or most of the festivals have an entry. So Cannes Short Film Contest has an entry fee of 7,000 rupees.
Okay, INR.
7,000. Yeah. In INR it is 7,000 rupees, and then
Oh,
you
wow.
also it's not it's reasonable, but it's not cheap.
It's still for independent filmmaker, it's expensive, right? I mean,
Yeah. Because last time I did not send my film to Goa Film Festival because the entry fee was 11,000. This is a
mhm.
feature film, and we made the feature film for what 25-30 lakhs, or in between that. But then we don't want to spend another 11,000 and send it to Goa Film Festival, which is supposedly a film festival which supports independent films and
Right.
independent filmmakers. And PHBT run, uh, India, what
So how do we
NMDC
how do
run.
we
Yeah.
right? So how do you share this everything? You just upload it online, or you have to like submit kind of a like what is
So
the
so
material?
right now, thanks to COVID, a lot of film festivals apply online submissions.
Okay.
But before COVID, what you do is you send an online link with a password, and they watch it, and then they say that okay, your content is good, so why don't you send us a DVD or a Blu-ray or a hard disk to the festival. So that's what we do.
Oh,
We
that's
make a
that's again
Blu-ray.
another expense, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's again another expense.
so
Yeah.
so apart from just like credit, I mean, is there any monetary benefit that we get from here?
Yeah. Sometimes. So the when so this looks like so when Cannes short film corner, when I got my this center film, this Bhagavati Kavale Pavikal, the one with the sword. So
Mhm.
when I got this film in Cannes short film corner, this was a point where I wanted to go to the short film market, the Cannes market. And you don't get entry into the Cannes market unless your film is there, or unless you are an agent, or unless you are a star in a. So if so, when I got my film in, I invested a lot more money, thanks to my wife and my friends who helped me. So I went to Cannes, attended the market, understood the whole scenario of how independent feature films and independent short films are distributed. They also gave a free workshop to all the people who came on how to distribute the content independently across the world. So there are so people don't know about this, but short films can be sold on airplanes. So when you are taking a flight in
Oh,
Europe, you
okay.
see that there is a small icon for short films, which is international short films. Or short films can be sold in libraries. There are a lot of libraries which take short films. Of course, the short films need to be shown in a lot of festivals, but these smaller arenas I got to know. And
Mm-hmm.
Shorts TV, there are channels which are, these are not YouTube channels, but these are private um, kind of OTT like
Uh-huh.
platforms which show only short films, and they pay money to, like, if it gets, and they pay good money.
Okay. And how does this OTT thing, like, let's say actually have subscribed to Movie and all, like, so how does the revenue sharing work actually?
So I think I'll go into that in detail.
Okay,
That is
sure.
where
Yeah,
I'm going. Uh,
definitely.
so
And
yeah,
just a quick time check. We have only 20 minutes. Yeah, so just a quick time check on that. Yeah, thanks.
20 minutes. Yeah, yeah, okay. So yeah, these are short films that I made again. Um, then I made a film with my senior. He participated in a contest with Hamara movie, and they made a film, which is an anthology. And my senior Palash, he directed a film. Palash is also an ADC, and he directed a film, and I was the DOP. So that was our first feature film together. Shuruat Ka Interval is the name of the film. It's available on YouTube too. It's yeah, and this is the film that I took to Cannes. Okay, the one that I was talking about. And Khan gave me this leverage. So right now, when I make a content, I can sell it to a lot of platforms, because when they look at my profile, I already have a Cannes Film Festival, or I already have a Cefalu Film Festival. So Utsaha Idihasam is the web series that I made, and it's a web series. It has 8 episodes. So it's there on Z5, it's streaming on Z5. And monetarily, this was a profitable project. It is an independent project. We did not have the support of a producer initially, but eventually, a company called Pepper Media stepped in, and they supported us. And then they sold it to OTT, and they got paid from the OTT, a share of which was paid to us, and it made quite a wonderful sum. So OTT work in 3 or 4 ways, but basically OTT sometimes, like Z5, they buy content and all the rights of the content, and they keep it, and then you are paid for that. But
Okay.
there are certain other platforms like Mubi, which gives you a screening fee. Uh, the platforms like MX Player, they either give you they buy your content, either buy your content, or they take the shared rights like pay-per-view, or they also have a advertising area where if they show advertisements, they'll pay you money from the advertisements, a share of the money that they get from advertising.
Okay.
And then there are platforms with TVOD. So this content that I made, it's available on a platform called Cinepreneur. So you have to pay 49 rupees and watch the content, and this money, a share of this money comes to me, a small share, and I directly contribute this to Narmada Bachao Andolan. So this film was made for that by Stanford School. So yeah, so after we made Utsaha Idihasam, we dubbed it into a lot of languages. We made it into Urdu, into Marathi, Tamil, and all. So suddenly, me as a filmmaker, my viability increased, and I could pitch content with Z directly for a short period of time in my life. And yeah, the series also went around to Seoul Web Fest, where we got the best comedy drama award, and that's the Web Fest. So here also we got to meet a lot of people, and um, yeah, and small monetary benefit out of it. We saw, yeah, this is the Stanford School team. So the Stanford School of Law were making a documentary, and they approached a friend of mine, and she put me in the project, and went ahead and made this film, Water Bodies. The film was shown in IDSFK. Monetarily, it was good. Um, and suddenly, I was making film for a cause. And yeah, so this film is available on Cinepreneur. So anyone interested can pay the 49 rupees and watch it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, it's
I
15
think
minutes.
I think we would definitely need all these different website links. Yeah, so that I can. share with the audience.
Yes, I'll share everything. And this was shown in the International Documentary and Short Film Festival of Kerala. So this is like the Kolkata Short Film Festival, and this is a very important festival in India. And to get in the first 10 in competition was a big deal for us. So that's my associate director and my current associate, chief associate director, and my first associate director and the assistant. They represented the film at IDSFK. Then we made this independent 2-hour film called Vrittakritiyilulla Chaduram, a Minor Inconvenience. And the film uh, got into the international competition at IFFK along with Jellikattu. So this whole being with Jellikattu gave a lot of inertia for us. Like, which is this other film which is with Jellikattu. Jellikattu, on the other hand, is a fast-paced, it's a adrenaline film, whereas ours is a very serotonin, very slow-paced, very relaxed, but at the same time, it's not experimental art, or it's not an experimental film, or it's a proper narrative film, but only the pace is lesser. So we were all over the news, and that helped us quite a bit. And to get into an international competition, only 2 Malayalam films get into the competition. And I think 4 Indian films get into 3 Indian films. Altogether, 4 to 5 films get into the competition, which has 10 to 12, 14, I'm not sure how many films, but 10, 12 international films come into the competition. So yeah, so we are all over the news, and that was also a time when we won the best dramedy too. Again, we won it through another content called Ennum Varuna Dhumaketu, which is a web series that I wrote and co-produced along with the person on my left who was my associate director from my previous project, Vaishak Rita. So Vaishak is a filmmaker. So this is another part of film. I'll come to that shortly, where you find the right team and you contribute to each other's growth. So he was a wonderful filmmaker and he was contributing to my content. So I wrote a content and asked him if you can direct it, because that was the time when I got out of one project and I was sick. I did not want to see a movie camera again. And so Vaishak went ahead and made this um, fourth from the left, avocado toast, cashew, call it a day. And then you see Everyday Meteor. That was our web series. It got into Seoul Web Fest. And since we were already an alumni of the Seoul Web Fest, we get discounts in entry. So the entry fee is quite a big amount, but we get what, 30% discount, somewhere 50% discount, because we've already made it. And we won it at the Seoul Web Fest earlier. So yeah. So after Vrittakriti, the entire team was on stage after the first screening. That's a good moment that I wanted to share. The entire team, like everyone who was in the movie, and everyone who could make it to that day, to that screening, entire team was there. Our film also won the state awards. So this helped us in our OTT sales. So suddenly the film has the IFFK banner. It also has the state award banner, and now it is available on MX Player. Monetarily, we are break even, and it is available on MX Player. So people who are attending the seminar, please go ahead and watch our film. Your views count. And do watch all the advertisements that come. Do not skip the ads.
Oh my God. So now we understand, like, how all these impacts, independent filmmakers.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, that's what I ask a lot of people to. Yeah, I know you have seen the film at the festival, or you have seen the private link, or you have come for the first screening. But if possible, just switch on your computer, watch the film for a bit, then mute the tab, just let it play, and yeah. So yeah, so how do designing films? So how do we make films? So this is a 20 to 30 lakh. This budget is between 20 and 30 lakhs. And this is after we evaluate the services of people whom we did not pay also, okay? Whom we could not pay. So, but when we take their services into picture, it becomes a 30 to 40 lakh film. Yeah. Like we shot at a friend's house. We did not pay for the space. So he's like, you can shoot for 3 to 4 days. He's a very good friend. Then we shot at a friend's hotel. And then we shot at another friend's property. Sometimes we have to pay for our location. Sometimes we have to manage. So this is one part of this whole filmmaking process. I think even big projects do this. Even big projects use spaces that are available to from their friends and relatives, and then they shoot it because you don't want to mess up your production because of non-availability of space, right? I mean, you schedule for 4 days, and the third day someone comes to you and tells you that, hey, we can't give you for another day, or if you want this for another day, you should pay us 1 lakh rupees. That should not go. So those values are not added in the budget that I spoke about. So it's there on MX Player now. So how do we do this? So thankfully, the times have changed since since the advent of cameras like the Canon 5D Mark II, which came in 2008 or 9, 10. So there are a lot of films that are shot on Canon 5D Mark II that were shot on, like Chapakurush in Malayalam, like The Girl in Yellow Boots. So this is a very small photo camera which has a Super 35 sensor, and it also gives you a good depth of field. And you also have photography prime lenses and CPE lenses and all you can put on the camera. Suddenly the ecosystem for independent filmmaker changed immensely because these cameras were what, 1 to 2 lakh rupees, and now you can make a film out of those cameras. So this is what right now we have the S1H, which is Netflix approved, and this is a 3.5 lakh camera. So if you look at an Ariflex camera, Arri or Red, the starting prices are 10 plus, except for what, Red Beanie, which comes for 7. Red Raven, not Raven. The Komodo, which comes for 6 lakhs, 3 to 6 lakhs. So you have these equipments which have a Super 35 sensor, and it does not give you skyfall quality, okay? But if you know a little bit of lighting, and if your aesthetics are sensible, then you can still create cinema with these cameras. And time and again, people have proved it. Look at a movie called Village Rockstar. It was shot on GH5, which is a very simple camera. It's a Panasonic film. They have designed it for cinema, but it's still not a heavy airy camera and all. So you choose your camera based on your budget. You choose your camera based on your content and constraint. So if given a choice to shoot Vrittakriti on Ariflex 435, I will still not shoot it unless I'm given a budget of 1 crore. Because when a camera comes, a unit also needs to come with the camera. The generator also needs to come with the
Can we
camera.
hire cameras, or yeah, these are, we have to like self own it, right?
So in my process, sometimes we hire cameras. Like when we need we always have one camera which is owned, because uh,
Got it.
yeah, always there is one camera which either it's my camera or my DOP's camera or my student's camera, or some one camera which, even if we don't have any cameras, we can shoot the film with that one camera, and it has all the features of a good camera. And this is something that most independent filmmakers overlook. They directly go ahead and rent cameras, and then they overshoot their schedule,
Mm.
and then the entire budget don't work. And so I did not want that. I wanted that creative freedom. Like there is this rainy day that I want to shoot, and I still have a camera. And if my actors are available, my crew is available, and it is out of schedule, I can call these people and, can we shoot this in the evening? And they are. So that is something that, yeah, because a rain unit costs you 15,000 to 20,000 rupees per day,
Mm.
right? Yeah.
So
So
the
yeah.
entire filmmaking process, which is the most expensive part of it, like the entire, you said budget of 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs. So where is the majority of share go in? Is it for post production or?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I think it's 70/30. The 30% goes into post production. The 70% goes into production, artist cost, um, into art direction, and and lighting equipments and everything. So we do away with a lot of that. Some of my actors have not paid. I in yeah, like I tell them, and I tell them that I don't have money for you. I'm really sorry, but still, if you're interested, can you invest your effort? So when we sell the film, we pay them, or we pay them a little bit. Like
And what about the associates and assistants?
yeah, they are all paid. They are all paid.
Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah, like at
Yeah,
least some money is given, and then everyone is the food is expensive.
okay.
Right. Yeah. So in a film unit, the food is cheaper because they get it from from a kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's per head. But when you are shooting an independent film, you're buying it from a hotel, and
Mm,
so it's very expensive.
got it.
Yeah. But I think everyone is paid at least some money at some point, not necessarily during the project or anything. But
Got it.
Utsaham we paid everyone, and we Utsahidhyasam we paid everyone. But Takriti we paid a lot of people. There are still a lot of people to pay. Um, I think after MX money starts rolling in, we can pay a few more people.
Makes sense. Yeah. So we have a quick question from the audience. So our film camera is supposed to be mirrorless, and would they be full frame sensor or cropped?
Um, yeah, so um, I can go into this whole philosophical discussion where I would say that any camera is a film camera. So Stephen Soderbergh shot a film on an iPhone, and it is there in Sundance, and he shot the film before that also in iPhone. There are a lot of iPhone contents coming. There's a Malayalam movie called Ahar, which is shot on phone. Then there is a movie called Lens, which is shot on a simple DSLR camera. So the camera actually does not matter if you have a compelling story to say, like the paranormal activities, or like what uh, yeah, like there are contents that are shot on GoPros, and but if you are actually going for a proper film production, I think it's a Super 35 sensor or more than that. Super 35 sensor proper, and they are not mirrorless, they are a digital sensor. But there are mirrorless cameras which are like DSLR cameras, which are photography come videography cameras, which even the company consider it to be for the amateurs, except Sony, which started telling that our mirrorless cameras are for professionals too. Those cameras can also be used for filming.
Cool. Yep. Yep. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prashant, please go ahead. So we have just a couple of minutes. Yeah. So
Yeah. So the most important part of your content is it's not story as in katha, it's just story. It's the kind of storytelling that you choose for your content, and the kind of sequences that you have in your content. Do not think that story is about, these are the five things that are very important. Budget your content. Like if you don't have enough money to shoot on the beach, you might want to change your location and change the mise en scene and change the way the scenes are built, so that that same content can be told on a, a small property nearby, or a restaurant nearby. Don't know. When you're doing independent film, you have to budget your content. If you have enough money, shoot on the beach. If the content requires utmost important that everything should be on the beach, then reduce budget somewhere else so that you can shoot on this beach. So
yeah.
budgeting is everything. Budgeting and scheduling is everything. Pre-production. So we spend a lot of time on pre-production. We have our storyboards, we have our screenplays, we have our shoot schedules. We also have previous videos. Earlier in my earlier process, we also had rehearsals. Right now, we are not doing much of rehearsals. We are doing it on because we work with more professional actors now. But earlier, we used to have rehearsals, and we rehearse at home and find the rhythm of the actors, and then we shoot. So when you are shooting, you are only dependent on cinematographer, the lighting person, the camera crew, the makeup and everything. But you are not worried about what the actors not performing. So pre-production is everything. I mean, pre-production. there are quotes which say that plan your film like you're going for a war and stuff, which is quite true. If we had more time, I would share you some pre-production videos and all we do. We even do animatics sometimes, even for simple films we do animatics. That's because we don't have, sometimes we need to shoot 3 or 4 day content in one night. And you cannot just go there and decide the right angle and the right, yeah, it is always necessary to get inspired from the space that you're shooting in, but if you have planned everything, then things are smooth. So pre-production, then key team members. I was speaking about, you have to find a few people who are your key team members, who are not in here for what? Who are not tourists on your set. They are decision makers. If you are not there, they'll take decisions. And they're not just working for money. But at the same time, if they're paid, they're very happy. But at the core of it, they're working because they want the content to be live. They are a part of the content. When the content comes out, they can see their soul in the content, and that makes them happy. If there is money also involved, they are happier. So finding these key team members is actually the crux of independent cinema. And if some of the team members are not working out, update them, change them. That is the crux of independent filmmaking. Like, you have to find people who are passionate, who believe in your content, and who are decision makers themselves. Don't ignore your sound. People who have ignored sound have regretted it. And always have a few good actors by your side. Be friends with them. Give them feedbacks, work with them, ask them what they want to, what kind of characters they want to play, and work towards growing together and stuff. So I have my whole array of actors, and that is something that I'm very proud of. And they're wonderful, brilliant actors, and they're they're all growing and they are very big. They are probably, in if you look at the ecosystem of filmmaking, they are probably bigger than me, and but still they're ready to work with our content on a reduced budget, even if they don't have the basic facilities on the set. They come back and work with us. So that is great. Yeah, and that's our content. And these are the clients that I worked with. I have to add a few more. This is a screenshot from my website. So this is one advice. A lot of creative people don't want to be technical, but when you become creative and technical, you become unstoppable. This is very similar to UX, UI kind of a thought process. I would speak about the UX part of filmmaking later. Yeah. This is another advice. Do not wait for an angel to fund your film. Just find money. So this is my last slide. I'm basically a person who's shooting in the sun. We don't have a jib, so I'm on a scooter shooting this one. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess I'm done.
Yes. I think it was a great. I think the host has disabled my video, so I'm not able to.
Hey, how do I do that? Can you?
I don't know what's happening here. Okay, it's okay. So we do have a quick question from audience, so maybe we can just take that one last one. I think it's a pretty interesting one. So the question is like, how do you select this BGM, right? So will your personal choice of music impact the selection of the BGM?
Hey, this is a very brilliant question. So, me personally, what I do is, even though my content lack a specific genre, but I put my content in a particular genre initially. So this Vartakati is a travel film. No matter what, it's a travel film. So what kind of music do travel films have? And understand those kind of musics, and then you have your personal taste, and you have the kind of music that you enjoy in other films, and you bring that into this travel film mechanism, the whole travel. So imagine that you're making a thriller film. The thriller films should have a thriller film kind of ambience. But when you look at certain thriller films, they use extremely opposite. They use slow jazz and everything, right? But if you look at the world of thriller films, always jazz was a part of noir. So now that's how I decide like which is my genre, what are the kind of music that come in that genre, and how can I update that, or how can I add myself to it, or how can I talk to my music director and make him think in a particular direction on how to select BGM. And taste in music definitely affect the music selection. Uh, so what is trending on YouTube? What is trending by the first 10 list in Spotify? What is the kind of music that people respond to? Uh, what happened to Daft Punk? So those we keep on listening to that alternate funk.
Mm-hmm.
Keep on doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That makes yeah. So I think it's been almost 6 minutes past the time. So I have two questions, and then we can close it up. So yeah. So first question is like, so what do you think of this kind of a parallel cinema that's going through, right? I think it's become pretty popular, at least, or established in Kerala, right? So you have this very humble, simple, parallel films, which are also making very good in mainstream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you see that? Is it a welcoming change?
Yeah. I think this whole parallel cinema process was always there. Like in Bengal, in Marathi, in Hindi too, and in Malayalam, Tamil. Oh, we should not ignore Tamil. The wonderful parallel content that come out of Tamil cinema, Malayalam is nowhere near. Yeah, Tamil cinema is bringing out all this content which has soul and which also has speak on issues and everything. But Malayalam cinema is still stuck on, you know, a particular. There are a lot of art films that come out, which is still, yeah, the old art film ecosystem. It is not speaking anything new. There are a lot of films like that. And this whole parallel cinema, this is there worldwide. So with the advent of these cameras and the festivals opening up and Netflix opening up to independent cinema, so the parallel films are everywhere. So Rotterdam Festival, you check out or Sundance Selects, check out all the films. They're all shot on what C300s and Alexa minis and they have a particular quality nevertheless. But this is something that has been happening throughout. People were shooting on Super 16s while everyone was shooting on 70 mm. Yeah, Vincent Lago and all. If you go and check, they were
Mhm.
doing parallel cinema while what
Yes.
the West,
All right.
films were made in. Yeah.
So any yeah, your favorite director?
Oh, my favorite director is Terrence Malick, and I love his work. Uh, Terrence Malick, and
Mm-hmm.
I am also a big fan of Kirastami.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of Christoph Kieslowski. In Malayalam, I love Lijo,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Dilesh Potan. In Hindi, I am a big fan of Kashyap and Vasant Bala. I am also in Satyajit Ray is a great influence. Aravindan is a great influence.
Mm-hmm.
Bharathan is a great influence. Spielberg, like if people want to learn direction, they have to watch Steven Spielberg and how he establishes a scene, how he will say commercial, all to all commercial, but the communication is propped. It's like visual order on space.
Sure.
Yeah. So Terence Malick, basically.
Yep. So yeah, last question. So what's the future plan, Krishan? Yeah, what's next? Cooking.
So we are making a web series right now, a small series. So that will be completed in the next 2 months
Awesome.
or 3 months. We started in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
uh, COVID. I have a friend, Jins Sincere, and he is a brilliant actor. So both of us were frustrated, and we decided we'll make something.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also curfew in the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is happening. And then there is a small, it's a bigger film happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Purusha Predam. It's about a cop and everything. It's a bigger film. And there are talks of a multi-star big project, a mainstream project also, which is happening.
Amazing.
And
Yep.
yeah, these are the things.
Super duper. Yeah. So we wish you all good luck and hope to see you on a bigger screen. I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm not able to switch on my.
Yeah.
Kind
I
of,
think I have done something wrong here.
it's okay. It's okay. No worries. But at least the session didn't get interrupted. So uh, it's okay. Fine then. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks again, Krishan. And yeah. So, hey, participants. Thanks for participating and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, everybody.